The education sector has long been the leader in bringing to light the missing pieces of United States history. It is not surprising, then, that the call for acknowledging and celebrating women's contributions began in our schools, tracing back to 1978, when the Education Task Force of the Sonoma County Commission on the Status of Women in California initiated a Women's History Week to celebrate women's contributions to culture, history, and society. Decades earlier, the women's movement of the 1960s had brought women's issues to light, followed by the work of historian and activist Gerda Lerner, noting that women's history was virtually unknown in terms of K through 12 curriculums. The task force aimed to address this. The effort attracted national attention, with more than 100 community women participating in special presentations in classrooms throughout the county, the country, and hundreds of students in dozens of schools making submissions to a real woman essay writing contest. The event culminated into a parade that was held in downtown Santa Rosa. The origins of acknowledging the contributions of women as a national celebration began in 1981, when Congress authorized a public law that requested and authorized then-President Jimmy Carter to proclaim a week-long Women's History Week. Over 5 years, thousands of schools and communities were celebrating National Women's History Week. The national effort spearheaded by governors, city councils, school boards, and the U.S. Congress. By 1986, only 14 states had declared March as Women's History Month. It was not until 1987, after being petitioned by the National Women's History Project, that Congress passed legislation which designated the month of March as Women's History Month. This led to the drive to write women back into history, championing their accomplishments in all facets of life, including science, community, government, literature, art, sports, and medicine. Within the month-long celebration in the U.S. on March 8th each year, we also recognize the more long-standing International Women's Day, a global celebration that has existed since 1911. For more than 100 years, many countries around the world celebrate the day with demonstrations, educational initiatives, and customs, such as presenting women with gifts and flowers. In 1975, the United Nations began sponsoring International Women's Day, citing its purpose as to recognize the fact that securing peace and social progress and the full enjoyment of human rights and fundamental freedoms require the active participation, equality, and development of women, and to acknowledge the contributions of women to the strengthening of international peace and security. Hello, and welcome on the behalf of Bloomfield College's Center for Student Leadership and Engagement in Special Programs. This evening, we have the pleasure of serving as your virtual host. First, giving recognition to our creator and a special acknowledgement to the Bloomfield College Board of Trustees, Vice Presidents, staff, faculty, students, and of course, our wonderful, powerful, trailblazing, and phenomenal president, Dr. Marcheta Evans. Dr. Marcheta Evans, one of this evening's Women of Vision and Courage, is being highlighted alongside our first Black and Asian Vice President of the United States of America and the first female. A similar badge of honor worn by our college's president as the first Black and female president here at Bloomfield College. This year's theme for Women's History Month is Women of Vision and Courage. We don't need permission. Established through the Center for Student Leadership and Engagement in Special Programs under the leadership of Director Terrance Bankston and alumni class of 2004, and in collaboration with the Bloomfield College Student Government under the leadership of future graduate class of 2022, Kyle Smith, and the Bloomfield College Greek Council under the leadership of Samaja Fowl, also a future graduate class of 2021. Dr. Marcheta Evans, president of Bloomfield College and the vice president of the United States of America, Kamala Harris, both are phenomenal women who can serve as a blueprint of Black excellence and as a role model, a source of inspiration and empowerment to everyone. Both are sheroes and historians to males and females. Then, while today is recognized worldwide as International Women's Day, Dr. Evans, our Bloomfield College president, and her AKA Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated sister have kicked down doors and shattered glass ceilings for years. Today, in 2021, we witness both kicking down more doors in their chucks and pearls, and while paving the way for other women, people of color, and people, period, yet for generations to come. We agree with Dean Mitchell and her poetic tribute to Dr. Evans for Dr. King's birthday this year. Sometimes the woman is king. Thanks to Dr. Evans and our Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris, young girls and women everywhere no longer have to settle for or accept the dream deferred, or perhaps just having a dream. Young girls and women everywhere can stand confident and know that women will no longer dream the impossible dream. That the women we honor tonight are ladies who live the promise of God and defy odds, slay dragons, and perpetuate miracles to make the world a better place for you and for me. Know that women, they can do all things. They can conquer all things. And now, everyone, please kick back, relax, and enjoy. Hey, Dr. Evans, this tribute is for you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ezequiel Peña. I'm Associate Professor of Psychology at Our Lady of the Lake University. I first met Dr. Evans at Our Lady of the Lake University in San Antonio, Texas. I was on the search committee and she was applying for the dean position in the School of Professional Studies at the time. So a dear colleague of mine, Dr. George Williams, Jr., and I were both serving on the committee. We were so taken with Dr. Evans' presence, by her commitment to cultural competence and to diversity and inclusion. We were smitten and so delighted she was selected to be our dean. And from that day onward, it's been a continuous experience of collaboration and celebration of diversity in my personal and professional connection with Dr. Evans.
I'm Dr. George Williams, Jr., Vice President for Student Affairs at Our Lady of the Lake University in San Antonio, Texas. I've known Dr. Evans for about 9 years. When I first met Dr. Evans, she was a candidate for a position as Dean of the School of Professional Studies at Our Lady of the Lake University here in San Antonio. I had the fortune of being part of the search committee to select the next dean. I knew from our interview that she was what we needed at our university and a leader. And I knew she would also serve as my lifelong mentor, mother figure, and friend.
Hi, my name is Ed Evans. I'm Dr. Evans' husband. She's the president of Bloomfield. I'm here with her. We first met when I was 9 and she was 8. And her uncle dated my aunt. And we used to play around at my grandmother's yard when we were kids. And I can remember her pigtails, and I think she was snaggletooth at that time, I wasn't sure. But she was running around after me and I thought, who is this girl trying to keep up with me? Fell in love. Her stepdad was in the Air Force and they came in and out of San Antonio, which had 5 Air Force bases at the time. We met again in high school. I was a junior, she was a sophomore. We were trying to set up some friends and we fell in love with each other. And we fell really hard. We were really, really close. And her mom and dad moved again to DC and I didn't see her for 20 years. So we fell in love in high school.
It was December 19th, 2018 at around noon when I found out that Dr. Evans was selected as President Evans at Bloomfield College. I was seated next to her doing a community service event. We both served as community members and chair of the City of San Antonio MLK Commission Scholarship Program when she received a call from Bloomfield's Board of Trustees chair at the time. We were on a break doing an MLK telethon where we were raising funds for high school seniors to attend college. She quickly interrupted our conversation to take this call. She was excited, she was overwhelmed because I think she knew at that moment she made history by being asked to serve as Bloomfield's College next president. Of course, she cried and we cried together and we embraced each other. And after a few minutes of that, we told her she needed to go home to celebrate with her husband, Mr. Evans.
So I and a few close friends and colleagues were privy to when Dr. Evans first got invited to interview for the position. So that was a pretty exciting time. Then as she moved through the process and up until she was selected, it was a group celebration, a cheerleading of efforts for her success. We were so excited for her to have this possibility. And we're so excited for the possibilities for Bloomfield, especially given how diverse the student body is. With a large community of Black and Latinx students, we all knew it would be a great fit for Dr. Evans. And it's been great to see the great work that all of you at Bloomfield College are doing under her leadership. And it's fantastic. And the reports that we get and the love that she has for the community of Bloomfield is just bar none. You know,
she'd been applying for presidencies for about a year. She'd been a finalist in two, one in Louisiana and one in Dallas. She was a semifinalist for a school in Chicago. And when she came home and told me she was going to apply for the presidency of Bloomfield College, I didn't know where's Bloomfield College, baby? You know, in New Jersey. I didn't really know anything about the East Coast, but it turned out really, really well. We had a decision matrix, 10 attributes that we were looking at, and we put everything in there. But she brought it to me like she had gone to a leadership conference where she was speaking, and she met the Vice President for Academic Affairs at Bloomfield at that time, who was at the conference, and they got to talking about how Bloomfield would be a good fit for Marcheta. She was looking for a minority serving institution. Her love is for her people, and so it kind of fit with what she was after, no matter where it goes.
I couldn't be more proud of her and know that she is called to lead a university as special and diverse as Bloomfield.
You know, I'm very proud and ecstatic about Dr. Evans' accomplishment. I'm thinking about the Harriets, the Marys, the Maya Angelos. It was Dr. Maya Angelou, actually, who so eloquently said that we are the hope and the dream of the slave. I recall sitting in the auditorium during Dr. Evans' installation. You know, it was a ceremony filled with personal stories, and inspiring music, and bold messages, and vibrant direction to students and the surrounding community members. Her message simply emphasized what Dr. Angelo said, a sense of hope and pride. The images and celebratory events that day showed all of us that women can and will take an extra step forward. Not for fame, not for fortune, but for the culture. You know, being the first Black and the first Black woman president at Bloomfield College. Many girls and boys, college students across a lot of college campuses across the country, aspiring college presidents. We are able to see ourselves bigger now and brighter now, and being able to know that we can do anything.
I am so proud of both of them, both Vice President Kamala Harris and President Marcheta Evans. What I can tell you is there are no obstacles, there are only decisions to be made. Everyone has things that come up, things that shake them, and things that get in the way. Both of them had to take jobs that may have not fit them very well, but they did them so that they can get to the position they're in now. I think for two black women in America, one grew up in the Deep South and the other one on the West Coast, to see them where they are now is an inspiration not only to young women but to young men also, where you can see what you want and what you're after, and you go for it, and you make the decisions as they go, as they come, to get where it is you want to go.
The first thing I would state, as the saying goes, is that the future is female. I think that women, and women of color in particular, such as Vice President Kamala Harris, our beloved President Marcheta Evans, are showing us what it takes to move past the archaic old way of doing things. Women in general are more collaborative in nature and have created an incredible sisterhood that men could really learn from. And for that, I really admire that connection of you all putting together this celebration for Women's History Month of both Vice President Kamala Harris and President Marcheta Evans, president of Bloomfield College.
Aside from them being sorority sisters, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the country's first black sorority, President Evans and Madam Vice President Harris are not shy to mention, by the way, of their shared sorority. The first connection I draw is they are both glass ceiling breakers. With the two of them in the office at the White House or in the BC's president's office, I see a better America. I see a better America for Black women. I see a better America for all marginalized communities. You know, in terms of the connection from these remarkable women, first, they both share powerful leadership skills, driven by purpose while challenging policies and opinions. Secondly, the connection that they share in there is that their hope to inspire young generations to follow their dreams. And then lastly, it's this sense of being grounded, the grounded approach to life that they both remember where they came from. And they're not afraid to talk about her story.
What I would say is she's a magnificent leader, and I've seen a lot of that in the almost 2 years we've been here. But most of all, she loves what she does. She loves the students. She loves the faculty. She loves the town, the city. She is all in. And whatever anyone needs, you know where her office is. She's always there.
Hi, hello everyone. Morgan McGee here, the second to last daughter of Dr. Evans, your beloved president. I am so excited to be with you all to just share a couple of words of what my mother means to me. It is truly a blessing to have a mother and to have our relationship have grown the way it has over the last few years. It's this interesting dynamic that changes between child and parent as you get older in life. The relationship that was so often seen as, hey, your parents provide X, Y, and Z, they're teaching you, they're learning, you're learning from them, you're doing all these sorts of things, to have it transition to one of a friend, one of a mentor, one of an example, but also understand that they're human, and to be able to have such a strong, insightful person as your mother is truly a blessing. I often think about my own leadership journey and what that means, and how my mother and my parents have impacted that journey of mine, and what it means to me. It means to me that I can send my mom a text and say, hey mom, can you do this for me? Or I can say, hey, can you read over the script for me for this town hall panel? Or hey, can you watch this town hall panel? And it's always yes. It's having a mother that will answer the phone in a board meeting and say, hey baby, do you need anything? Is everything okay? And it just makes me think how fortunate, I'm gonna get emotional because I'm a leaper like my mom. It makes me think of how fortunate I am to have someone like that in my life, to know that she is fully a Black woman experiencing this world and all that that is, but she's also fully a leader. She's also fully embracing her destiny and her purpose, and I think that she was truly destined to do this sort of thing. When you think about people being called to a certain work, I feel that I've been called to do the work that I've done, and I see that so much in my mother, and I am so extremely proud of her. So today and always, Mom, we celebrate you.
Marcheta, I want to express to you how proud I am of you and your accomplishments. You entered this world as a premature baby. It was a touch and go situation for a while, but God brought you home to us from the hospital. When you came home to us, it was obvious you were an exceptional child. You walked at 8 months, and when you were 3 years old, you were able to plan your day. Every morning at the breakfast table, since you were afraid of the dark, you wanted to know who would sit with you that night until you went to sleep. When I was 12 years old and you were 1, I took you from Mobile, Alabama to Louisville, Kentucky on the train with no adult supervision. As a little girl, you became my shadow. We went everywhere together. Mother instilled in you that you should be second to none. So as a result, you strove to realize that with every fiber of your being. You graduated high school at an early age and earned your degrees as planned. Your accomplishments have been many, but the most monumental accomplishment is you are the first female and woman of color who is president of Bloomfield College in Bloomfield, New Jersey. I am so very proud of you and will love you forever. Continue to make me proud and continue breaking the glass ceiling. I love you, baby.
I want to recognize the love of my life. My husband, Ed Evans. Please stand. Thank you for saying yes, sweetheart. And you told me to take you somewhere green, the Garden State, right? Okay. I love you all beyond words, to the moon and back. Being in this space, in this very room, causes my heart to overflow with the feeling of love. Additionally, I want to send a special shout out, though, to those of you who may be watching at home. Know that my heart is the fullest it has ever been. What a beautiful December day, right? Not like it was a week ago. A lot of my family members were stressing, because you know we're from Alabama and Texas, a lot of us. And thank God, there is a God. He took care of it for us. I guess right now, you're wondering, why did I want to become a president? Why did that make this decision? A few steps away from us, maybe 3 or 4 blocks, is Bloomfield College. But I'm not sure if a lot of you know that 83% of our student population are students of color. We're the only 4-year, predominantly Black institution and Hispanic serving institution in the state of New Jersey. Let's give the college a round of applause. We, the faculty and staff, are dedicated to providing higher education access to those historically excluded from those opportunities. You know, this very mission is what brought me, dare I say us, to Bloomfield College. This community is why I know Ed and I made the absolute right decision to move all the way from San Antonio, Texas, to Bloomfield, New Jersey. People keep saying, you should be going south, not going north. This is great. We will break new ground, and we will do that together. You know, when you think about time, time is often segmented into past, present, and future. We talk about that a lot at the college. Appreciating the past of our Presbyterian roots, living in our present, and believing in our future. So in 2016, there was a study that was completed. It noted that 3 out of 10 college presidents were women. 78%, though, of those women were presidents serving their first presidency. But did you know that only 5% of college presidents are women of color? 5%. That is likely even less when you remove the HBCUs from the list. Women of color are the most underrepresented in the presidency. I am meant to be here today as the president of Bloomfield College. My past has prepared me. My past has given me empathy and understanding. I have been in the shoes of these students, and I have been in their mindset. Presidents of minority-serving institutions play a critical role in fostering an environment supportive of the academic and life success of the students they serve, many of whom come from backgrounds with past like mine. The people who have brought me, or the people you have just met, and have brought me to my present as the first woman and the first African-American president of Bloomfield, I thank you. You know, I appreciate everyone since I've taken on the presidency telling me and wishing me good luck. Good luck, Marcheta, good luck. I appreciate that. I don't need just luck. I don't. And I know I have some wonderful people out here that I'm seeing now. I see Sarah Pena right in the front row. I had a conversation with her, and I'm going totally off script now. She wished me luck, and I said, Sarah, I need help. And within a matter of weeks, she had set up an opportunity for me to meet, I don't know, was it 20 leaders in the community, specifically focused on our Hispanic students that we have, our Latinx students. Thank you.
Dr. Evans, by the authority vested in me as chairman of the Board of Trustees of Bloomfield College, I hereby install you as the 17th president of Bloomfield College and charge you to carry out the mission of Bloomfield College, which is to prepare students to obtain academic, personal, and professional excellence in a multicultural and global society.
And now, Bloomfield College's Center for Student Leadership and Engagement and Special Programs presents a tribute to Vice President of the United States of America, Kamala Harris. Again, enjoy and stay engaged for a live segment with Dr. Marcheta Evans, President of Bloomfield College, moderated by our student leaders.
We did it, Joe. You're gonna be the next president of the United States.
You see a lot when you're the firstborn. I saw my mother and how she worked hard, and she was full of pride and would never want anyone to ever pity her. She never complained about anything. But I also knew how she suffered. I knew how she stayed up late at night trying to figure things out. She was a brown woman with an accent. I remember going into, a store and us being followed. I remember how people would look at my mother and make certain assumptions about her intelligence or her capacity or her right to belong. As the eldest child, you see this. My mother was very well aware that she was raising two black girls to be two black women. And she did that instilling in us pride in our culture and cultures, always knowing that we would face all kinds of obstacles, but she never let us believe that anything could get in the way of our dreams or pursuits. My sister Maya is 2.5 years younger than me. So at the age of 2.5, I was told, look after your sister. And it is something that is very much a part of just who I am, which is that look after those who need your support or need your help. And that has been what has motivated me to do the work I've done, to look after and protect people.
The Vice President of the United States, the Honorable Kamala Harris, Madam Vice President, first of all, thank you for being with us for this.
Of course, Rev. It's good to be with you.
Who are the people that influenced Kamala Harris to be the Vice President of the United States? I mean, we know you, the Americans know you, but there must have been people that helped to guide you, whether you knew them or not, whether you studied them or not.
Absolutely.
Who was important to Kamala Harris as a black historic figure?
One of the first was Thurgood Marshall. You know, I grew up, as you know, a child of the civil rights movement. My parents were active in the civil rights movement, and Thurgood, and together with Charles Hamilton Houston and Constance Baker Motley, they understood the power they had as attorneys, as lawyers, to translate the passion from the streets to the courtrooms of our country. They understood how they could challenge us to be true to the ideals behind the Constitution of the United States, and in that way fight for equality for all people. And they were heroes in my mind growing up, and that's why I wanted to be a lawyer. Because I believed that being a lawyer was a way that you could fight for justice and equality. And, you know, so Shirley Chisholm, Barbara Jordan, I mean, those women who challenged notions of who holds political office and who could even run and think of themselves as occupying a seat in the White House. I mean, Shirley Chisholm, we're celebrating this year the 50th anniversary of the Congressional Black Caucus. Shirley Chisholm was one of the founders of the Congressional Black Caucus. She was unbought and unbossed. And the way that she carried herself with such dignity and strength and unapologetic role of leadership, those are some. And then there are others who you will not know their names, but in my mind, they are also part of Black history. People like Mrs. Regina Shelton, who from Louisiana, who was my second mother, who helped raise us and who always taught me to have courage and to believe I could be anything I wanted to be and to never hear no. So there are so many. And I think that, Rev, when we think about Black history, we also have to remember in that way that Black history did not end in 1967.
Right.
And that there are all of these historical figures since then and those that are living now. I mean, I think of one who we just recently lost, but Cicely Tyson. Yeah. Right? And so when we remember and think of Black history, let's remember all of it, and then remember again that we who are part of their legacy have as our responsibility to think of our role at this moment on earth, being alive at this moment on earth, and what we will do to carry on the legacy around a commitment to justice and equality and fairness for all people.
You are also the first HBC graduate from Howard University, and you're the first AKA member. Dr. Glenda Glover, that heads AKA, told me, make sure you tell the world that she's AKA. How much of Howard University and HBCU, how much of that shaped you? Because we began in the last decade or so to see people, Black, come out of Ivy League schools. But to come out of HBCU, and you're sitting there in the ceremonial office of the White House as the Vice President of the United States. This is your first interview in that ceremonial office. Last night you had members of the Congressional Black Caucus. A sister with the A, not the ER, from Howard sitting there. How much of that, Howard and the AK, how much of that helped make you and who you are and where you are and how you sit there now?
There are two things that I attribute to who I am. One is the family in which I was raised, and the other is Howard University. And any graduate of an HBCU can tell you that what it means to, in those years when you become an adult, you know, those years of 18 through 24, where you are in a place where every signal you receive tells you that you belong, that you will be nurtured, that you will be challenged, and that you will be expected to do well and do well for others. You know, the Divine Nine. You know, I enjoyed talking about the Divine Nine when I accepted the nomination to be on the ticket, and I described, as I do feel, the Divine Nine as part of my family, right? And so I talked about
family as the Divine Nine family. And reporters would say, well, what is the Divine Nine? And I thought, well, you're about to find out. Because what we are talking about is 9 sororities and fraternities, most of which were founded in the early 1900s for Black women and men who were in college, was about not only creating an environment in which they were nurtured, but also in charging us with living a life that was about service to community, service to others. And all of that informed in so many ways who I am.
Kamala was attractive, so of course a lot of the guys liked her, but she also had a reputation for being smart, you know, so if you want to step to her, you better step to her saying something important.
She was always the one who was very even keel, not phased, and not in that I don't care way, in a focused way.
She did the work. There was nothing given to her. I mean, and it was hard. She was one to not let anyone tell her who she was.
All Americans would go forward together.
Now I'd like to show you Macintosh in person.
My name is Jill Lewis, and I went to college with Kamala Harris. It was a very interesting time when we were in college at Howard in the 80s. The first African-American woman became Miss America, and it was an event because it was groundbreaking. It was something that we had never seen before. The Cosby Show came on during that time, and the opportunity to see educated professionals in a functional family was a new phenomenon on television. To be coming of age in a time where you could see that possibilities were opening up. The horizons were broadening for women, for people of color. That, I think, was very important.
Do not listen when they say it can't be done. Howard taught me, and it has taught you. You can do anything, and you can do everything.
My name is Dr. Shelley Young-Tompkins, and I had the pleasure of befriending Kamala my freshman year at Howard University. On campus, she was known for being a woman about business. She and I would be mistaken for, you know, professors because we would have briefcases, you know.
A lot of colleges, people may wear jeans or sweatshirts. Howard was a school where people actually dressed up to go to class. Our generation felt like if we didn't start right now, you know, that would be problematic for us. So I think we took ourselves fairly seriously. Dancing was a huge part of our social life. So there was no event, no party that didn't involve dancing. We never went to parties to like walk around and talk and hold a beer. People danced. That was the culture of our parties.
My name is Lita Rosario, and I recruited Kamala Harris for the Howard University debate team. A lot of times when males and females are in, you know, debates or spirited conversations, the men kind of, you know, use their physicalness to kind of make their point. And I saw that Kamala, that she didn't back down when they did that, that she proceeded to make her point. And it's funny because when I look at her on television today, I still see that character in her.
There was a little girl in California who was part of the second class to integrate her public schools. And she was bused to school every day. And that little girl was me.
Every school day of the year in Berkeley, the buses move almost 3,500 children across town.
My name is Carol, and I lived around the corner from Kamala. Kamala and I were bused together from 1971 to 1973 to Thousand Oaks School. We met each other every morning at the corner of Bancroft and Browning in West Berkeley and stood in line to get on the bus. Berkeley began the busing program because they thought that they should integrate their schools and because the neighborhoods were so divided. To be able to be bused and go into this other environment, it transports you into a whole nother little, you know, universe. It just expands your mind. I just remember her being happy. She would talk, sing songs. If the bus driver needed to say something and the kids were talking, Kamala would make sure, you know, people tamped down so that everyone can listen to what the bus driver was saying. I remember her being like sitting in the front of the circle. She was very attentive. She was paying attention. She wasn't talking. You know, some of the kids might be in the back talking. She was listening. She was listening to the story.
Had she not been bused, you know, her life could have taken a totally different course.
Gonna be on TV? Yeah. Is we?
I recall her saying that she wouldn't be senator if she hadn't had that opportunity.
My name is Stacy Johnson Batiste. I've known Kamala since we were about 4.5 years old. The one thing that stands out is she's the friend that listens to you.
Kamala's mother is Indian and her father was Jamaican.
She was part of a global conversation around race and identity at an early age. And I think that she had to learn how to become very secure within herself.
She just really grew up in a very multicultural environment. But her mother raised her and Maya as black women, because that's what they were. And it was a very intentful upbringing. And Kamala really, you know, was proud of it.
Shamala, Kamala's mother, was you know, one of the leading scientists in this country, if not across the world, you know, for cancer research.
And she really impressed upon Kamala and Maya to be great and be who you want to be, and you define yourself and you define who you are.
Don't you ever listen and let anybody ever tell you what you can or cannot be.
This girl who I stood in line with to get on a bus to ride up to the Berkeley Hills in our little neighborhood is running for president. I'm extremely proud, extremely proud.
When you talk about what kind of impact something like this would have when you're able to see someone come through those barriers, that frees not only yourself, but generations.
I'm so proud of her, beyond words.
She has never lost an election. She ran for freshman rep, she won. She ran for DA, she won. She ran for Attorney General, she won. She ran for Senate, she won. She's running for president.
What you are all about to be part of, America, is a historic moment of firsts. To administer the oath to our first African American, our first Asian American, and our first woman vice president, Kamala Harris, it is my great privilege to welcome to the inaugural stage the first Latina to ever serve on the Supreme Court of the United States of America, Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the oath of office, followed by musical honors.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear.
I, Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
That I take this obligation freely.
That I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
That I will well and faithfully discharge.
That I will well and faithfully discharge.
The duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
The duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.